1935, the Lions win the NFL championship. The Detroit Tigers take the World Series. The Red Wings bring home Lord Stanley's Cup. Joe Louis begins his rise to world domination. This transforms the Motor City into Detroit, City of Champions.
There we are. Hey, Detroit City of Champions podcast. We are here in the palatial Podcast Detroit Northville studios. Charles Avison, I'm Jamie Flanagan, pushing our buttons. Matt Fox.
Hey, there's a camera.
There's a camera on
He's got his own camera now.
Matt got an upgrade.
A little bit. You can see, like,
Detroit City of Champions, episode 8. Play ball! We're going to...
Perfect.
Play ball!
Nailed it.
So, yeah, we're going to play ball a little bit. From what I understand, because I've been doing some research, Charles, you're rubbing off on me, man. I did some research.
Dude, I'm telling you, once you get hooked on the City of Champions story, there's no going back.
Because I'm
telling you, it goes deep and it's infectious.
I love movies.
Yeah.
I love movies. I love watching movies. And you told me there's so many, and the Detroit City of Champions, right? The 1935 year, and there's just so many stories to tell. There's so many, and every time you tell me a story, it's like, you'll be amazed. This was totally lost.
Yeah.
And
I saw your eyes light up the last time it was sort of at the end of the show. It was either at the end of the show or it was like after the show was done. But I mentioned the fact that, there's so much to talk about, and then got into the fact that the first Major League Baseball movie with sound was filmed in 1934 in Detroit, made in Detroit, and premiered at the Book-Cadillac Hotel during the City of Champions season. And you're like, I saw your eyes light up. You're like, oh my God, what are you talking about?
And
I'm like, yes.
You said it was lost.
Yeah, it was totally forgotten. Nobody knows about it. That's what I mean. Lost, forgotten, however you want to put it, but it doesn't, very few, the only people really I've ever heard of this movie are people that I've either talked to or, really that's it. I mean, I've done a bunch of speeches. I've done, it comes out when I do the speeches and that, but, it's just like, you just don't, nobody talks about it anywhere ever. And that's why I'm glad to be talking about it now.
I tried finding, it's like, oh, okay. So it's
on the internet, right?
Was this the first movie shot in Detroit?
Yeah.
And I couldn't find this.
Yeah. It's not anywhere online. You don't see it anywhere. Nothing.
No, the closest thing I found, the oldest movies that I could find through research.
You're talking about filmed in Detroit or just filmed at baseball movies?
No, filmed in Detroit.
Okay,
VisitDetroit.com has 1946, an MGM feature, This Time's for Keeps.
Yeah, there's not. There's I'm saying there's like nothing.
And so this has got that beat by 12 years, right?
Yeah.
This is 1934.
Yeah, I can't verify that it was the first movie ever made in Detroit. I can't say that. I don't know that, but but as far as baseball, motion pictures with sound, there was other baseball movies with sound made, but baseball movies that talked about baseball with sound and all that. But as far as Major League Baseball sponsored movie where they're in it, like Major League Baseball itself has a role in taking it, this is the first, and it's the first one with sound especially, and that's what's so amazing. Like as big as Major League Baseball is today, especially history occupies a very prominent component of Major League Baseball. They use history. they sell the sport with history, and that's what's so stunning to so insane to me is. I've actually tried to reach out to some of these people. I was down in the baseball winter meetings in 2015. Yeah. I even tried to take it to there's actually like a historical area there, and I even tried to talk to them about it. And they just basically blew me off.
Which museum?
It wasn't a museum. It was the winter meetings for baseball. Basically, every year in the winter, everybody comes together, in Tennessee or whatever. So every person in baseball comes together for the winter meetings. And I went there. I was actually trying to look for a job in baseball, doing this analytics thing, which is the other project. But and I was there. I'm like, I got this. While I was there, I was trying to talk to some people about this movie, and they're like, this is the problem I think in sports, in history, in a lot of different things, which is that a lot of people just assume that if they don't, especially if they're the experts in the industry, if they don't know about it, it's probably not that big of a deal. It's almost like I know everything. It's impossible that something, could ever slip past somebody, especially something great could could get past the experts or whatever. And the even more difficult, an obstacle to overcome is the idea that once you're faced with something that you don't know, especially something as obviously important, whether it's the movie, whether it's the City of Champions story, or anything else like this, the ability to like change your mind, like to say, I think it's just one of the great, I think we've just mentioned this before, like the ability to like admit you're wrong, the ability to make a mistake, ability to admit that there's something that you don't know in this world that, you know what I mean? I think it's a very rare thing in this world to say, you know what, I was wrong. I was, this is something I didn't know, something that I need to, educate myself on, in something that if I have the power to do something about it, like let's do something, So I think that's that one component. I've run into so many people that have, it's really a majority, I think. So that's to say, like, City of Champions is the greatest season ever. They're like, I want to do a story about, somebody's, where a player wears his cornrows today, that's more important than the greatest season ever that nobody's ever heard of. Like, same thing with the movie, it's the component that is, it's incredibly important. It's a fascinating element to the entire City of Champions story. And
it's pretty astounding.
Yeah.
And we're talking movies, so it's important that we talk movies. And I figured if we're talking movies, we got to bring in one of the big dogs in the city.
Awesome.
Joining us today, Greg Russell.
Hello, how are you?
Good, doing well.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Good to
So,
see you.
Greg, it's Detroit City of Champions. We get a little feedback happening with your speaker and your. There we are. I think we're cleared that up.
Okay.
All right, perfect. So, Greg, Detroit City of Champions, it's a trilogy of books. Charles here wrote this trilogy of books, and in his research, he came across a movie. And from what we understand, it was the first movie filmed in Detroit. I know you're talking to all the movers and shakers and all the celebrities. What's your movie history? Do you know what some of the older movies in Detroit are?
Filmed in Detroit, you mean?
Wow.
Filmed in Detroit.
Wow. Let me think about that. Man. Oh, geez. Of course you think of like some of the modern ones, Batman v Superman, all the Michael Bay movies were done here.
Yeah.
Let's see. There were some, when we had the great rebates and different things like that, like Stone and movies along that line. There was another movie. Oh, Man of Steel. Thank you. My wife's hearing upstairs.
Yeah.
So in my research, what I could find was one of the first ones was 1946, This Time's for Keeps from MGM.
Wow.
And then from there, 1959, Anatomy for Murder. And then in 1960, Where the Boys Are, had some scenes filmed in Detroit, supposedly. There's been some decent baseball movies filmed.
Some great
Detroit.
baseball movies. Some of my favorites, man. Tiger Town.
Yeah.
I remember watching Tiger Town as a kid. I was like, it was a Disney like made for TV movie.
Yeah.
With what was the Australian actor? Was it no, he wasn't Australian. It's just a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching Tiger Town on TV.
Yeah.
Tiger Town, yeah.
And you brought it up today. One of my favorites. We'll get to it. I don't know. Do you have a favorite Detroit sports movie, Greg?
I was going to say, please let me get the number correct, but you'll tell me if I got it wrong. 61 or 62?
61.
There you go.
A buddy of mine was the umpire in that movie. His name was Carl the umpire. Yep.
Oh,
he was the umpire.
And one of my friends, Robert Young, was like the fill-in player who always ran the first base.
Oh, okay.
How many times you got to do that in the show, right?
Yeah, they used the old Tiger Stadium as the backdrop for the race for 61 home runs between Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. That's the concept of the movie.
So there was Tommy Lee Jones did Cobb.
Oh, yep, absolutely, yep. And then there's you have the Ron LaFleur story. I forgot is that the name of the movie? The Ron LaFleur
story? I think that
story?
was it, the Ron LaFleur story.
Something like that. Like it might have been like Breaking Out, the Ron LaFleur story, something like that. But that's another one.
And then Charles mentioned it to me earlier while we were chatting.
This is a great thing.
We've had this guy on. He was a guest before he passed away. He was on a different podcast we have called Animal Talk. We had George Plimpton as a guest.
Yep. Did you really have him on? That's awesome.
He's got the best voice ever. He was so cool. It's
a great movie too, man.
Yeah, he wrote The Paper Lion. And they turned The Paper Lion in the movie. He actually had a part in it. He played one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was there in the background playing one of the quarterbacks when Alan Alda was playing his part of
Alex Karras is in it.
Yeah, the experienced journalist.
Barney, geez.
Yeah, so that's just because of George. George was just like the coolest cat ever.
Yeah.
He had the best pipes. It was just unbelievable. But Greg, we wanted to bring you
one last mention.
Oh yeah, whatever the movie.
Well, it's not a movie, but if you ever seen Magnum PI, it's like one of my favorite shows growing up. Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker made an appearance on Magnum PI. You might be able to find it on YouTube. It's a great scene where because Tom Selleck was a Tiger fan. And so, and he was in the bar. It was a scene where he was in a bar, and the two of them were in it, and they were dressed in like suits or whatever, like I think white like suits or whatever. Yeah. And he looks at them and he says, they're like, yeah, hey man, they had like a little conversation with them, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to Detroit for the Tiger, game or whatever, and they're like, oh, we'll be there too, man. And he goes, oh, you ready? He goes, yeah, we're gonna be in the seats, between second and because there's second baseman, shortstop. He's like between third and first, and then they just left. And Magnum for some reason goes, well, third and first. Those are weird seats. What does that mean? And then the bartender points at a picture behind the bar, and there's a picture of the two of them signed an autograph. He goes, oh my God, it was Al Trammell and Whitaker. Like we all know watching it who it is, but it's that's a great moment.
There was also a movie Harrison Ford did here, and I got a great story from him. They were shooting downtown at the old Detroit police station on Beaubien Street. And he said that some of the cops, after it got done, asked him, hey, would you mind taking a picture with us? So he said, no problem. So we had like 3 uniformed cops on one side, 3 on the other side, and 1 plain clothes person at the end. So he said they all took the picture and said, geez, next thing you know, 2 cops run in and grabbed the guy who's not wearing a uniform. He was a criminal who they had arrested who just wanted to get in the picture with Harrison Ford.
Jeez. That's awesome.
He's got his cuffs on. He's like, he's up with his.
Well, I met Harrison Ford.
Jeez. And also the police chief from Beverly Hills Cop was an actual police chief.
Oh,
from Detroit. Like former Detroit police chief.
So, but that way, looking at all these lists, looking at all these RoboCop. Are they done with the RoboCop statue yet?
They're done with it. They need a place to put it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been done for a while, but they just know where to put it. It's like the greatest statue of all time.
Greg, where should we put the RoboCop statue?
Well, let's see. I was thinking either Belle Isle or down there in that park, that they blocked off from Jefferson and Woodward, there. So, you got that. It'll be right next to the Spirit of Detroit. So, get them all there
it's just
together.
such a cool statue, man. I've seen it. It actually looks really good. It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. Like no other city in the world's got a RoboCop statue.
No.
But in all our research, we found that they didn't have this in the list anywhere of a motion picture created here in the city, going back all the way to 1934 is when it was being filmed during the Tigers breakout season there. And Matt, can you roll clip number 1 for us? Grab that and roll that number 1.
Baseball, the national game of America, was invented by Abner Doubleday at Cooperstown, New York in 1839.
So there you go. So that's how the movie opens up. It opens up with "Take Me Out to the Ballpark."
And that voice is very recognizable as Ted Husing. Ted Husing narrated the entire thing. Ted Husing was like the guy. He was like, if anytime you see those the next time you see like an old like World War II clip from like the Nazis have done this or something like this, it's that guy. Ted Husing is the guy. He was like the voice of everything back in the 30s and 40s. I think it was NBC that he was on. He was like the voice. So the fact they got Ted Husing to do this movie, this was a legit movie. This was a legit motion picture.
We're gonna get back to him because he does a big announcement at the end.
Yep.
And so we'll play that. We got a clip of him, and they have him on screen too. So we'll get to that towards the end. But it's pretty amazing that Charles, he keeps finding things that have just been lost. The story was lost. That the Lions and the Tigers and the Red Wings all won their championship in the first year.
Their first championships in the same season.
And then you know that this movie, there's this incredible plaque that was lost to antiquity for
Yeah, that was the
for
most
how long?
remarkable find, man. Like,
So all these things you
yeah.
keep uncovering. He's an archaeologist for amazing things from Detroit. So how did you, Charles? How did you find this?
Yeah.
This film?
Well, it was like, it's kind of like everything. It started with the, just the research. Like, I mean, like you could kind of compare, like, imagine you're reading a book, right? You're reading a book. But for me, the book was like, it was newspapers that stretched across like 3.5 years of Detroit newspapers. Okay. So I had to read this book like every day for years, like through the newspapers. So I'm just basically reading the newspapers,
right.
and I'm trying to, you can't read everything. So, you're trying to like, you're trying to skim the papers and catch what's important and photocopy and, take it home and explore it, do whatever. But but that's really how it was. Like I at one point I came across this newspaper article and it said, it talked about a film premiere at the Book-Cadillac Hotel. Okay. Where they were all going to, where they're like, yeah, last night we went to this film premiere. It was incredible. Like Frank Navin was there. They're like, Frank Navin was there. Everybody was there. All these reporters were there. And they were like, this is, we watched a baseball movie. It was Major League, American League, motion picture. They described this movie. And I'm like, in the way they described it, I was like, this is amazing. I want to see this movie. Like, it's almost like a teaser for me, like an advertisement for me to watch it. And so I was like, I got to find this movie. And so like, it was just, it's another thing. I kind of set it aside, and then I just kept seeing little small references for it. There's another article in the Who's Who in Baseball in 1935, which, as we mentioned, like at a former episode, like when Who's Who in Baseball in 1935 was published prior to 1935. So it talked about what happened the previous year. And that's when there's like a full article in there talking about how this movie had been seen by 2 million people across the United States. Like, it was a major thing. 2 million people was sitting there, they talked about everybody was in it and everything. And then I'm like, I got to see this movie. Like, I kept seeing these references pop up. I got to see this movie. And it was like, kind of like a happen chance, thing. I came across, there's a collector, or like a guy who specialized in film, like old film and movie that I had found out about, and contacted him, and he had the movie. It's like the only original copy in existence. And
wow.
So I was able to basically negotiate with him for the rights to use the movie for the books. And I mean, when I negotiate, it's one way to put it. Another way to put it is I spent $10,000 to get the rights to sell it with my books, because I wanted to cross the T. I mean, right. He had the only original. He's the one that turned it into a DVD. And so, I spent, like I say, $10,000 on the rights to use it. So,
everybody who buys the trilogy of books,
it's like,
copy of the movie.
It's kind of like he kind of specified the rights as being like, it has to kind of be associated with the second book, because that was what
the Tigers,
with the book. So, anyways, it was good. I mean, and what I found out, even in the research for this stuff, is that there's actually 2 versions of the film. Right. There's a 32-minute version and a 55-minute version, and the one I have is the 32-minute. The 55-minute is still out there somewhere, and if somebody ever finds it, like, dude, you're gonna be like the greatest person in my life. Like, you'll like worship you. 55-minute play ball movie, man.
That's great.
Greg, what are your memories of baseball as a young man? Were you into baseball as a young man?
Oh, definitely. I mean, when I was growing up, that's what everyone was into. I was a kid when the Tigers won the series in '68. Thing I remember most is back then it was either the Detroit News or the Detroit Free Press had on the back page like a full poster of a tiger, all of them. And I had the entire thing in my bedroom, all over the wall. And it used to be fun where your Boy Scout troop or, some other community group, they get all the kids together because the tickets were probably maybe $1 or so. And during the summer, they take you down there. I remember sitting in the bleachers all the time, just watching the game. And then as I grew up and was fortunate enough by being in this business to get to meet some of these guys, it was like, oh, so perfect. Mickey Lolich, Al Kaline, Norm Cash, Bill Freehand, Willie Horton, Gates Brown, Earl Wilson. I mean, all these people. And even though you're an adult, all of a sudden you just become this giddy kid because you're just going, do you remember that time you hit that home run? And
yeah.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Well, so great.
we love unpacking this story because most people there's hardly a soul around that was in the stands anymore for this one. But I think it's an important story. And Greg, you and you know your brother, God rest his soul, it did some amazing work with like the historical markers in the state. I know he did a lot of work on that, and I know that. So you and your brothers are really into the history in Michigan and in Detroit. And that's why we feel this is an important project to remind people about. It's you know it's where we came from, and it's why things are important to us.
Right.
And I just love this. And can you imagine? Because there wasn't TV. I mean, they had some radio.
Yeah. Even the talking pictures with sound were relatively new too.
Yeah. Right. And so to see somebody like Schoolboy Rowe up on the screen. Yeah. And this was such a new thing. Matt, roll that clip number 2 because it shows Schoolboy Rowe.
Now watch Schoolboy Rowe showing 2 other schoolboys how he puts the power behind his famous fast ball. In this picture, the schoolboy demonstrates the brevity of movement, which leads to perfect body balance and remarkable control. The schoolboy follows through in natural fashion, proving that he has derived maximum power behind his fireball. Also observe that he comes into perfect balance and is in position to feel the ball hit back at him.
So there you go. So that was yeah. So the whole movie is Charles. How would you describe what the movie is?
What, just like a summary or like my review?
Yeah, no. I mean, just the what it is.
It's basically, face, at its face, like its sort of purpose was, it was to educate fans about, what, because I mean, at that time, like Major League Baseball was primarily like, East Coast, in like Midwest type thing. There was no like there's no Major League teams in California or like even down south and everything. It was just so anyways, the idea was like sort of spread the game across the country. Introduce the stars to people that maybe had never even get a chance to go watch a game in person. And also like show sort of the strategies and tactics, like it was like they teach the history of the game, to introduce the players, and also some of like the way that they actually play baseball in the major leagues. It was really those 3 components. So it's to spread. It was a spread, Major League Baseball across the country, and using the medium of talking pictures.
Yeah. Wow. So they did. Now, Mickey Cochran. Greg, do you know who Mickey Cochran is?
Know the name.
Yeah.
You're going to say gangster. No, but
sounds like a gangster.
Because we just did.
He kind of was too in the colloquial version. He was about as good as you get.
Because we just did a whole episode about him because he was a catcher that came in and was the manager. And he's the one that really kind of lit the fire under the boys to get it done in 34 and 35. And he was just so well known behind the plate. Clip number 3 here has Mickey guarding home plate.
Mickey Cochran delves into the art of guarding the plate and tagging the runner. Here Mickey takes a wide throw and makes a thrilling diving put-out. Cochran is unequaled in the specialty of diving to the ground at either side of the plate for pitches in the dirt. And regardless of the double impact, he hangs onto the ball and gets his man too. In the mechanics of throwing to second, watch the mere instant it takes him to get the ball out of his hands and wing it so the would-be stealer wishes he hadn't left first base.
Wow. And people don't sometimes realize how fast those balls are going. Did you guys know Larry Sorensen?
Oh, yeah, I heard of him. What?
Yeah, he played for U of M and then also played for various major league teams. So I worked with him at a radio station. And one time we were out, he was a pitcher. And so I just said, hey, let's pretend I've got a bat, throw me a ball. I just want to see what it feels like to actually be thrown the ball by a major league. Honest to God, you're like this. And he's going, it's at the fence now. The thing went so fast. It was like, I couldn't even see it. And I'm always just so amazed, just how people can go out there and hit these balls, to various parts, even out of a stadium. I mean, that's a great talent. Great.
Yeah.
Talent.
Major League Baseball is a whole nother level. Like that's one of the things that, I mean, you're not wrong. You're absolutely correct. Like, it takes like 5 years to develop a college player or a high school player, whatever, to get to the major leagues. You have to be the elite of the elite. like in everything, like the arm strength. I mean, physical, everything, athletic ability, everything. I mean, that's what it's like. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to get to the major leagues. So,
all right, there's two more clips I want to play for you guys.
Okay.
One is a lesson on sliding from JoJo White. That's clip number 4, and then clip number 5 is some from the World Series, and it's a little bit of play-by-play from some of the World Series action there in 1934. So, Matt, roll out number.
JoJo White sprints into a hook slide and stresses the correct position of the legs. Keep it bent under, he says, never rigid. Bending it prevents it from being injured. Well, here's a pretty good try for the first time. White now informs the youngster that the underleg is too stiff and too straight. Don't be afraid to bend it, and be sure to bend it before you hit the ground. Then sliding becomes easy.
All right.
Yeah, let's go to the World Series play-by-play.
And now for a glimpse of the World Series. The rival managers Frankie Frisch of the St. Louis Cardinals and Mickey Cochran of the Detroit Tigers. After the national anthem is played, the game begins. Dizzy Dean is the Cardinal pitcher, and just watch him when the first pitch is called a ball. Oh, boy, is he annoyed. Detroit's first run came in when Gehringer singled in the third, scoring JoJo White and placing Cochran on third. And the home crowd is overjoyed.
All right, so there you go. So now, Charles has an opinion about this movie, and but I'd like to ask you, Greg, what is, in your opinion, the best baseball movie ever made?
Whoa.
it's a tough question.
We'll go for popcorn,
Yeah, it's
and
super
you
tough.
sort
It's a
that
tough
out.
question.
You know, I mean, like even one of the ones I always liked growing up was the Babe Ruth story. Only finding out, you know, how William Bendix actually, they had to reverse the film because he couldn't actually hit left-handed. But that's one that I always think about, you know, as a kid. Also, For Love of the Game, the movie about Kevin Costner being a Detroit Tiger. He's a guy who loves the Detroit Tigers. He played Detroit Tiger twice, as you know, in that movie, and then also a movie called The Upside of Anger. He was a retired Detroit Tiger player. But that also another historical one, like Bingo Long's Traveling All-Stars, about the Negro Leagues. It was a movie made by Motown back in the day, starring Billy D.
I haven't
Williams.
seen that one. Yeah.
So, you know, you got those, and man, like you said, there are just so many other good ones. Major League. I think we all still
Bad News Bears
in that movie.
I gotta watch it. If it's
Yeah.
out, I gotta watch it.
Oh, it's a must. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just like skip through to the next channel.
right.
Even the second and third ones are good. I like the
Yeah.
third one
Yeah.
too. It's all right.
And the Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. So because Charles, his argument is that this is.
I thought you were gonna ask me the same question.
the greatest-
What's my favorite baseball movie?
What is your favorite?
Play ball,
Play
man.
ball. All right.
Play ball
So
is my favorite baseball movie.
I need you to defend that. Why would you say that this is the greatest baseball movie ever made? Because you've said that a few times, and I'm not a sports guy. I love history. I love Detroit. I love stories, and that's why I'm here to hear these stories from you. And when you say this is the greatest baseball movie ever played, I don't have a huge frame of reference, so I need you to argue that for me.
Well, I mean, it's I'll just in a nutshell is the idea that like all these baseball movies that are out there, they usually like hearken to a to like a nostalgic era, in baseball. Well, Play Ball was that era.
Okay.
And the people that these movies hearken back to, these were those people. This was like, I mean, that is like, and it's not just like the clips we're showing are sort of like the technical elements of the movie, but when you watch it in its narrative format, it's like tells the story of baseball, and it incorporates. It's incredibly the format is incredible. The camera angles are incredible. When they show the different pitchers go through and they rattle through pitcher after pitcher after pitcher, they have the pump handle wind ups. Like the guys describing every single like pitching style. Like one guy's got the double pump handle, and then the camera angle like looks over their shoulders. You can actually see the curve bend, which is an angle that they don't even use in baseball today. Which if they did would like enhance everything that they do. And then like there's one of the great scenes is there's like these kids are like when they're introducing like how baseball is played. These kids are all these kids are all playing sandlot ball, and one of the kids hits a ball through a lady's window, and she's like yelling out the window at him. And then like, so I mean, there's humor in it. And then then one of the most striking moments of the movie is they go through in just rapid fire succession, showing all this, like some of the greatest hitters in baseball history and like how they swung. And it's like rapid fire, bam, 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 bam. These are all like each guy's whacking a ball. There's Gehringer, damn, bam, like cracking a ball. And then they get to Lou Gehrig, and then his smash, Lou Gehrig crushes a ball, and then you go, damn. It's like, I mean, all these great hitters, and then Lou Gehrig smokes one, and you go, oh, damn. And then like you reach for your controller to rewind it, and all of a sudden, Ted Houston goes, let's watch that again. Like he hits in rapid fire succession through all these hitters, and then Lou mashes one. He goes, hold on a second, let's watch that one again. Like the timing is so perfect, you know. You're going, and they do it in slow motion for Lou. You go, man, these they knew what they were doing for this movie. You know, it's just it's amazing. It's like so. That's what I mean. And another poignant element is that a great friend of mine who was like really the genesis of my other project, guy named C.T. Bartlett. He was like, he's passed now, but at one point he told me that this movie saved his life. All right, like he was like in near death, and he had never seen this movie before. And there was this one line in the movie that the two of us had, like it's like our signature like bond with baseball. And it's this component that the team that wins that scores the most runs wins the game. Yeah. And it's just such a basic saying, I guess you could say. Like it's an obvious saying, but it's something that is completely lost on baseball today. The analytics, the way the analytics have completely taken over baseball. They microanalyze every single component of the game except for runs and RBIs. Except for the amount of runs that a pitcher gives up. They microanalyze the velocity, the technical elements of how a bat hits a ball. They analyze everything except for an extensive study on runs and RBIs. Like it's insane. And so the two of us used to connect on that. And when he was near death, he was like the worst moment he'd ever been, because he was eternally sick. And I told him, I said, watch this movie. Like basically, I told him, like he was going up north. Basically, he like looked at me now like it was like might have been the last time I ever saw him. I said, watch this movie. And he went to watch that movie, and there's a moment in it where there's a reporter asks Rogers Hornsby, Rogers, what's how does it, is your team win tonight or whatever? And Rogers Hornsby says, decades of experience in baseball have taught me one thing: the team that scores the most runs wins the game. And CT said at that moment, he said that was like a message that I like from the past to me to him. And it gave him this like spark to like, he's like, I'm not done yet. We got more research to do. We got, more collaboration to do. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and he called me up like 3 months. It was like that night he called me up and he said, he goes, I'll watch that movie, man. And cause I told him, I said, this is the best baseball movie you'll ever watch. And he looked at me, he was like, okay. And then I called and I said, what do you think about the movie then? He said it was the best baseball movie I've ever seen. Wow. I told him, I go, come on, I go top 5. And he said, top 1. That's what he said to me. And so, and this is not just somebody like that, he had no problem telling me I was wrong or whatever like this. So, for all those reasons, and you guys want a few more? Yeah, it's number 1. See, it's like number 1.
Craig, I love hanging out with Charles because he's like just how passionate he gets about this topic and about this movie. I just love it. So
Jamie keeps me from rambling on.
For sure, rambling too much. Talk with him about the next time.
I'm gonna take his word for it. Yeah. So Greg, we were teasing you. You haven't had the opportunity to see this. No. I know you do some movie screenings. Yeah. So we just had Paul Glantz from Imagine Theaters on.
Oh, my buddy.
The Man Cave, talking about the spirits they have in their bars. But we gotta do a screening at an Imagine. Me, you, and Paul, and Charles.
I'd love to.
Whoever wants to.
I'll watch that movie 100. I'll watch it as many times. I love the movie.
We can go to one of the private screening rooms they have there. I mean, obviously, then we'd be all socially distanced with no problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah. Let's do it, and then come back and talk about it.
I'd love to hear the review. I'd love to hear your opinion about it. Because like I'm saying, because I already set the bench. I already set my thing pretty high. My opinion pretty high. So I want to see what your opinion is about it. You're like, that was the worst baseball movie I ever saw. I don't think it's gonna be the worst, but I I'm optimistic. I think that it might become your new favorite.
All right.
So, Greg, people can catch you on WJR Radio Fridays, checking in, letting people know about what might be coming out on the weekends.
Yep. Tomorrow morning with Paul W. Smith on WJR at about 8:15, and then on Live in the D on Channel 4 at 10 o'clock. The two movies that are coming out tomorrow, one is called Boys Camp. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's a real thing. And because even President Clinton went there, and so did Dick Cheney. Oh. It's this summer camp where, to an extent, they teach young men how to become politicians. And it's a documentary.
Oh, my God.
It's real. It comes out on Apple TV Plus tomorrow. If you get a chance, check it out, because you will. You'll be sitting there going, this is real?
This is real? Like, man.
Holy smoke. And another one, what's it called, with Jamie Foxx, coming out tomorrow on Netflix. It was called not PowerPoint, Power Pill. It's kind of like, remember there was a movie a few years back called Limitless with Cooper and Robert De Niro, where you take this pill, you become a star. This one, you take a pill and you get some type of superpower. But I might get, invulnerability, where you might get to be like the Human Torch, and you might, grow wings and be able to fly. So they're all different. And
I want to be able to dunk. That's all I want. That's all I wanted since I was a child, is be able to dunk. That's been like my all-time dream.
Right. That's like when you mentioned my brother Flip. That was one thing I was.
We all got our own dreams, We got our own dreams. I would not just like be able to dunk and like barely get it over the rim. I want to be able to like windmill dunk, under the legs, 360 dunk. That's like my that's a dream of mine. Yeah, that's like that's literally my biggest dream.
Wow.
So, Greg, the Movie Show Plus.
Yep. That we've got on Channel 20 on Sundays at 12:30 in the afternoon, and on Channel 38 at 2:30 in the afternoon. It's our half-hour show that I do with Tom Santilli. And there again, we have movie interviews and talk about movies. And also, especially with everything that's been going on, we've been interviewing business owners from around Detroit just to see how they're doing, and, just trying to get people to know more about them so they can go out and, visit them and, and work with them and, get different things from them. So, cool. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Excellent. We appreciate you hanging out. So is there a website and like a Twitter or anything, or website follow what you're doing?
Is movieshowplus.com. You can find me on Twitter at Greg Russell Film, on Instagram, Greg Russell Movies, and just Google me. I'm kind of like all over the place. So would love that. And no, this was so much fun. And you made me think of, can I share another baseball story though with you real quick?
Hit us with it, man. Yeah, absolutely.
One time I was in New York for another movie, and we're at the lounge inside the hotel. And I was sitting there with these three ladies, and we were having a drink after watching the movie. And this hotel was famous for having open M&M peanuts in a bowl. Oh. So next thing you know, we're sitting there, this hand comes down with a bowl and says, ladies, can I offer you some M&M peanuts? We look up and I'm going, oh my God, it's Reggie Jackson.
Oh, jeez.
And I scream it out, and Reggie took that as his invitation to join us.
Yeah.
He's there trying to talk to these girls, and I'm doing the thing again about, remember the time you hit the ball in the All-Star roof at Tiger Stadium, and when you hit the 3 home runs in the, and he's like, yeah, I know. And let me talk to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a lot of fun, especially to sit there, have a drink with the guy who was another one of your heroes growing up. And it's like, this is so cool.
Yeah, he was sweet. Reggie Jackson was a stud, man.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of a place you're at? That's like a VIP place that's got a bowl with M&Ms in. I've never been to a place that offers free M&Ms like that. My place are always like, if you're lucky, some pretzels or, maybe peanuts. You're real lucky. I've never been to a place with an open bowl of M&Ms. Man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's how they run in New York there on Park Avenue, right?
I got to get to, I don't hang out with you, man.
Come on.
Open bowls of M&Ms everywhere.
But Greg, we again appreciate you hanging out. It's we're going to be we've talked about the Tigers a lot. We're going to be talking about the Lions and the Red Wings and their amazing seasons back as well. Great.
So we got years worth of episodes.
Oh my gosh,
there's so much to talk about. I mean, there's so much.
Greg, do you know how many champions? I might have mentioned it. I might have said it before you got in here. How many championships were won in the city of Detroit in 1935? Do you know how many?
3.
Multiply that by what's 30? What's 3 times? What's
World Championships?
times? No, it's not because it's times 11 because there's 33 championships.
30.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to get to 33 from 3. That's what I'm saying. So I knew 10. When you said it, you got it wrong. I was like 11. That's what it is. So times 11.
Tigers, the
That's
Red
the thing
Wing.
about
33 championships in one season.
That's the thing about
Wow.
this.
That's how great this is. The greatest season in the history of American sport, and it's like literally unknown. Like
You got
nobody's ever heard of it.
Gar Wood, on the water in motorsports.
Yeah.
You got Walter Hagen. There's a horse. What was the horse?
A Zukar. Spanish for sugar. Yeah, I
The,
learned that.
the horse that won the
Zukar.
Was it the
The first Santa Anita handicap, like the movie in the movie Seabiscuit, like that's the race that Seabiscuit's always trying to win.
Whoa, see this.
Well, the very first Santa Anita handicap was won by a Zukar, which was a Detroiters,
Oh, man.
Fred Elgar owned horse.
There's runners, there's track and field,
Everything.
the Detroit
Tennis.
Police,
Keep
skill
going.
shooting.
Keep going, Jamie. Keep
it's
going.
just,
I think it's boxing probably too, right?
What's that?
Is there a boxing championship?
Oh,
in
Joe
there?
Lewis,
There
man.
was
That's
this
what I
cat
was
that
gonna
did a
say.
little bit of
I knew there
boxing.
Oh,
had to be.
Joe. Yeah, and Joe, he didn't actually end up as champion that year, but he's not. He's actually not even included in the 33 championships because he didn't finish the year as the champion.
Right.
But he was like what he did do in 1935 was so massive. I call it the greatest individual season in American sport history.
I should have been in the studio with you tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
That-
I invited you in
that
studio.
Joe, half that bottle of Joe Louis bourbon was drank by me. I was gonna drink another portion of it tonight. I love that stuff. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, because
of that
we're gonna do a bunch about
Yeah.
Joe Louis, and we partnered up with my other podcast, the Man Cave Happy Hour. Matt and I do that one. We partnered with Joe Louis Bourbon on a Tuesday tasting that we do, just because you can't go out and drink anywhere, so we just invite people to drink Joe Louis Bourbon with us. And we've had JoJo, his son, on a bunch of times. They're trying to open a kitchen, Joe Louis.
Yeah,
Southern cooking kitchen or something like that in Detroit, but they were trying to open in March, so they're kind of on hold.
Yeah.
But when we get rolling on Joe Louis, we're gonna have JoJo in with us to talk about Joe Louis, and
that bourbon's worth the trip, man. If you come into the studio, Greg, if you come into the studio, I'm telling you, it's not just the bottle's cool and everything, but the
I can
stuff
smell
inside
it
it's great.
It smells delicious,
it is.
It's real good. That's I mean. Like I was gonna tap into it today for the show, but I was like, a couple of weeks ago, I walked out of here kind of stumbling. I was like, man, I gotta
hit me. Joe hit me too hard.
I gotta pace myself in these shows.
Podcasting is not for the weak.
No, it's not.
No.
So,
Oh my God, no! We used to do plenty of podcasts like that. Did I get it wrong? Okay.
but you're absolutely welcome anytime, Greg. We do this every Thursday, and then it comes out as the podcast. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you both so very, very much. Please
Have a great night, man.
let me know anytime, and I would love to be here.
Likewise, you ever need anybody, spot stuff, to, Detroit sports history stuff, movie stuff, let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Jamie too. Jamie will join you too. I'm sure.
That'd be
I like
great.
that.
Everybody. Yeah, I'll get you on our show too.
Hey,
That'd be great.
Excellent.
All right, guys.
All right, Greg. Be well, man.
You too. Take care.
All right.
Have a great night, man.
You too.
Hey. So he's so much fun.
Yeah, he's cool, man. I love the guy. Yeah, he's great. First time ever.
Hanging out.
Yeah. It's cool having our
our
first special guest, man.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, I figure we're talking about a movie.
Yeah.
You got to bring in a cat who knows.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait to see his review.
About
I can't
the
wait
movie.
to see him watch it and give us his professional feedback because I've set the bar pretty high on this.
Yeah, the characters came to life in this movie, though.
Oh, it's amazing.
It opens
I feel
up.
bad because the listeners haven't seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want people to see it. I want to
Well,
show
this
the
is great
public
tease
this.
because we will do a screening.
No,
with,
for sure.
With Greg somewhere. We'll do once we can be out in public. in the
Yeah,
movie theater.
that'd be awesome, man. To build up our audience a little bit, and then advertise it, bring a group of people, have a
Once
big
you
night
come
of
and
it.
see it.
Yeah,
It's very clinical. It's really the nuts and bolts of baseball. There's some cool play-by-plays at the end.
Yeah.
But that's like the last 5 minutes. But the rest of it is really much kind of the history of
Yeah.
it. That's funny that it's.
But he builds the narrative. He starts at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Baseball was invented, Cooperstown, New York,
Yeah.
Abner Doubleday. He gives the formulaic version of history, which is like Abner Doubleday and all this. And then, he builds it up to like it's a kids game, and they started playing. Originally, they're playing 3 a cat, 6 a cat. How the game evolved. Using kids, and then he's like talks about how the college kids are signed and scouted. Connie Mack's in it. I mean, he evolves it, and then he takes you to the major leagues, and that's when they really get into the like how to play the game stuff. But I love the structure of it. I love how they build with the the history of the game, and then they work up to it.
I love the opening after they talk about Cooperstown, and they have the voice of the baseball commissioner.
Oh, Landis, yeah.
Come in.
Oh, yeah, Landis.
And he's such a character.
Oh,
man.
big time.
We got clip number 6.
Oh, you got Landis? Great.
We got
awesome.
clip number 6.
Kennesaw Mountain Landis. This is a guy, this is the original tough right here.
And now, presenting the Commissioner of Baseball, Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
I am delighted that the American League has made this absorbing motion picture that so vividly and so thoroughly exemplifies every department of the game of baseball.
The guy's intense. You notice him in the background. In the background, it was the 34 Tigers. On the background, he had the 34 Tigers hanging on the wall.
Did he really?
Yeah, it's the 34 Tigers on the wall behind him. Yeah, so he's like that 34 Tiger team photo.
Well, and that's the thing, because the film features, it's like an all-star reel. It's
everybody's in it.
It's like the
everyone
who's who of baseball. Of the era.
Literally, who's who of baseball. And, Babe Ruth's in it. Babe Ruth has the greatest scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Did you see one with the little kid?
Yeah.
You watched it.
Yep.
The scene is, for the audience, well, the great thing is they show the personality of Babe Ruth. They show how. 34, this was Babe's last year in New York, and they showed how he gets out of the taxi and he's just mobbed by thousands. And then Ted Husing says, it's the same in every city. Everybody loves the Babe. And he gets out of a car and all of a sudden it's like 1,000 people mob him. And then he goes, the Babe is a fan of, the kids love Babe. And the next scene is Babe Ruth. There's a little kid. He's like, the kid is like 2.
Yeah.
The kid can't barely even stand. And he's got a baseball mitt taped to his wrist or something. And then they go, and he goes, here comes the Babe about to throw a pitch. And he goes, Babe shakes him off. And he's like, Ted Husing's narrating. And he's like, shakes him off. No, he doesn't want to throw the curve. He wants to throw the heat. And he goes, and so Babe's about to throw a ball to the kid. He goes, here it comes. And Babe fires a ball at the kid, and it's a cut scene. And the next scene is the ball just barely drops in the kid's mitt, but he goes to fire a fastball, and you're like, oh God, he's gonna hit this little kid in the face, and then the ball just harmlessly drops barely, and the kid props the kid mid up so he can catch it. That's a great scene, though. I love it. So it's got humor in it too. It breaks it up with humor. It breaks it up with.
But it was like the who's who. But there is a big focus on the Tigers.
Oh yeah,
I think the Tigers kind of out.
Well, yeah, because it was filmed in Detroit, and they used the Tiger. They did film. There were component scenes filmed in other ballparks. Mm-hmm. I think that the director and the writer of the film was George Moriarty, who was like. I think an episode
talk about George next time.
Next time, yeah. George Moriarty is an absolute one of the an unknown figure, but a colossal figure in Detroit sports history, and literally there's nothing he did not do. He was
upping, and here he is throwing some Cubs.
This is the 1935 World Series. He's umpiring the 35 World Series. This is the guy that directed play ball, man.
We'll talk about that. But there's a real good focus on the Tigers. And the next clip I wanted to show you.
But he was a Tiger. He was he's all this, and that's what I'm saying. That's why it was filmed in Detroit. The Tigers are a major component of it. And there's actually a scene in the movie where, and this is actually in the article I have all the articles in the book that I found about the movie. And there's a scene in the movie where there's a guy they needed a scene, and there was a guy that they filmed, and it says the guy threw the ball in New York and a guy in Detroit caught it. Because of the cut scene. They had the backdrop was Yankee Stadium, and it was a Yankees player throwing it, and they needed the way that they edited the movie in post-production, they needed somebody catching it, and the only thing they had was a clip of a guy in Detroit. So the guy throws it in New York, and the guy in Detroit catches it. Yeah,
it's like the coffee cup in Game of Thrones.
But nobody's gonna notice it. Nobody notices it because it's everything moves so quick. But they wrote about it in the original original articles. They were laughing about it in the original premieres.
There's a cool clip number 7 kind of shows them really highlighting Mickey again and a double steal. Him
I love this
avoiding
one,
a double steal.
Yeah.
Mickey Cochran breaks up the dangerous double steal. With runners on first and third, Cochran signals for a pitch out. The runner digs for second. Cochran sets for the pitch out and whips it to second. Rogel covers second. Gehringer cuts in ahead, takes the throw, and throws out the runner at the plate. Nice work.
I'm glad you threw that in there because that's a great concept because they, those are sort of defensive strategies that, like, I don't want to say they don't exist in the game today, but those are the kind of. But it's like it's something that doesn't. Yeah, it's something that's. Yeah, it's. Say that again.
The game hasn't changed. I mean, just like the fundamentals of the game are still. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know nothing about.
No,
sports.
I know, but
that comes to me.
No, the fundamentals are there, I guess, but it's like I don't know. It seems like back. It seems like it's a little bit more of a showman game now.
Okay.
It seems like it's like, especially when you watch the play ball concept.
All right.
The way that they preach baseball is like from a incredibly fundamental component. Like the number one thing you do is you do not let that ball get past you.
Okay.
And that, like, number one, like you see it in the film, like when the guy's like, this is how you feel the ball. And like you see that this guy, the second baseman, when he fields it, he's so automatic in the way that he does it. You know that he's not just trying to teach kids. Like the way that he swarms around the ball, he's like he's, you start with your glove on the ground, your body over the ball, and you smother it. Like, you use your mitt, of course, but he's like, no matter what happens, that ball does not get past you. Like, whereas today, it's like, they're great fielders. I'm not taking anything away from today's game as far as their ability, but back then it was like the fundamental element, especially that they use like smaller mitts and everything. So, but the fundamentals that they show and play ball are like, it's huge. And like another thing you saw Mickey in that clip, you saw how he was like almost standing up when he caught that ball.
Yeah.
That was not uncharacteristic of catchers back then. Was like a lot of times when you see a catcher in the modern game, they're like in a squat position. Back then, they would be like half standing up. Like, I mean, they would be in a crouch. They would get in that deep crouch, but they would like literally like I have a old how to play. I think it was off of it was like a Wheaties box or something.
Yeah.
But it had Bill Dickey, who's one of the best catchers in baseball history. He played for the Yankees in the 30s, and he's showing how to catch, and he's literally standing up. And it's like, and so they think about it, like, if you're worried about a guy going from first to second on a steal, like, is it better that you catch the ball while you're standing up, or is it better that you start off in a crouch,
right,
that you're like almost sitting on your hindquarters? You know what I mean? Like you're in a crouch because you have to stand up to throw. You know what I mean? Like if you're like basically standing up when you catch the ball, it's 10 times like way hard. I mean, you're already in a throwing position when you catch the ball. You know what I mean? Like, so as I'm saying, like now it's like, that's unheard of for a catcher to stand up when he catches the ball. But if I like a team, which is like actually one of my goals, like another project we're doing, is to get my own team. Like that's one of the things. Like if it works better to stand up when you receive the ball, why not do it? Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's almost like there's a way things are done today that not necessarily the most fundamental or even the best. So I think it has changed. I'll just push back against that a little.
So the announcer, who was the announcer again?
Ted Houston.
All right. So Ted, Matt, where's that clip?
Oh, you got the end. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 8.
Again. Hello, you fans out there. Well, the game is over, and the stars of the American League have certainly put on a real show to give you the inside of our national pastime. This picture is an American League production and presented with the compliments of the League. In a century of baseball, this is the first motion picture ever made to show the fine points of the game. And as we've watched together, I'm sure that to every one of us has come the realization of the cleanliness of the sport, its speed, its intricacy, its never-ending variety, and its healthfulness in building bodies. Now, while we're on the subject of building bodies, let me remind you that this picture was made possible through the cooperation of another great bodybuilder, the Fisher Body Division General Motors Corporation, that produces bodies for Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, LaSalle, and Cadillac. Well, so long. Be seeing you at the games. Base hits will be flying, spikes flashing in the sun, and all America will be shouting, "Play ball!"
The spikes flashing in the sun. I love that.
That's just the radio voice of, like, I mean, that guy's got he's like the greatest.
You don't normally see the announcer.
No.
It's like they put him in there.
And you didn't see him through the whole movie, except, the whole thing, except for at that very end. But like, he says it all right there. This is the first motion picture, Major League Baseball motion picture. He says it right there. It was financed by the Fisher Body Company. I mean, this is a Detroit thing.
Yeah.
Just stop. I'm going to pause for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a breath.
All
Right. Think about how incredible this is, and how ridiculous it is that this is not like one of the most well-known things out there.
Yeah.
As big as Major League Baseball is, it's a $10 billion industry.
Right.
Okay. And media, like movies, baseball movies are like all the rage. I mean, baseball movies are some of the most financially viable things that there is out there. You have the first Major League Baseball motion picture filmed in Detroit, and nobody's ever heard about it.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever seen it.
Yeah.
And even more incredible is it was filmed in 1934, and it premiered at the Book-Cadillac Hotel during the City of Champions season. I mean, like, it didn't happen like a year before or a year after or a couple years later. This is another component. This is just another episode on the show. It's another day. By the way, Jamie, episode 8, we're doing this play ball movie. The greatest baseball movie ever made, filmed in Detroit, Major League. It's astonishing to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been hooked on this story. Is like the further you go down, the more components. This is like another episode, the discovery of the first baseball movie ever made, filmed in Detroit. Like, oh, what are we doing next week, Jamie? Another discovery that came out of this, it's crazy.
George Moriarty.
Man, he was one of my favorite people ever. Yeah, George Moriarty's amazing, man.
So we're going to talk about George next time. His career with the Tigers, managing the Tigers.
He might need 2 episodes for him.
And then making this movie.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about George the next time. Is there anything else we didn't talk? Will you hit on your notes?
All my notes are all George Moriarty.
Okay.
We didn't use any of them.
Right,
I got tons. Because I don't have to do put any notes together for for next week or whatever. Because I got them all. Because like I said, I didn't even touch any of these. But
cool.
It's all right.
So we'll talk about George.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that one too.
All right. Man. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for hanging out. There are people commenting. Your brother.
What's up, fellas? How you doing, Kurt?
It's like Curtis.
Is that Curtis?
He said, "Hey."
Hey, Curtis. How you doing, bro?
And so people checking in and hanging out. City of Detroit. Detroit, City of Champions. I know the name of the show. I swear to God.
You got it? You want me to write it down here? You guys need a note?
Flip the notes. Flip the book over so I can read. It's standing up right there.
There's everything around us. The City of Champions, everything. You got a bottle of liquor with Joe Lewis on it.
Right there.
There you go. Like everything.
Standing right there.
It's all right. You'll get it all right.
Detroit City of Champions, the podcast. It's available wherever fine or podcasts are sold.
Literally everywhere. We got it on everything.
Yeah,
man.
and that's
Spotify,
actually a misnomer because where finer podcasts are sold, it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free. Podcasts are free. We say go subscribe.
Yeah,
and the subscription.
Put a comment down. That helps. I heard from my friend Kevin Bush that if you're listening right now, comment everything we do. If you comment on it, it's going to help us expand this thing. Raise our algorithm and that. So comment on it, like it, share it. Yeah, it just I don't know what that means.
Algorithm.
It's like okay.
It's a euphemism.
I get it, but I don't know what you're trying to get at.
Yes.
But that way, comment, like, share, all that stuff because it helps us subscribe and everything. And
so DetroitCityOfChampions.com. Follow us on the Facebook and comment, and like, and subscribe wherever you listen to the fine podcast. Just follow us. Give us a listen. We appreciate you listening, being with us. Greg Russell, our guest today. Thank you.
Yeah, Greg. He was cool. Love having him on.
Greg Russell. We're gonna.
I like having a guest too. It was cool. That was fun. Yeah. We could bring some more people in.
And then Matt, let's close it out with that very last clip thing.